We are live. Welcome to the 12-Cent Treehouse, where we talk about working in comics, film, and TV. And as always, we're all gathered. It is me, Shaun McLaughlin, writer, producer, a lot of TV animation, a lot of comics. Steve Jones, you want to introduce yourself, pal?
A lot of TV animation, a lot of comics, I guess. Kind of stole my intro.
You want to know Steve Jones? There you go.
Also, Steve Jones, also noted expatriate, living in beautiful sunny Auckland, and Jeff Johnson, also TV, also comics, but
a lot of TV, a lot of comics, the occasional book illustration, but mostly the other stuff. Scott, how about you?
Oh, comics, random drawings, weird stuff, whatever comes
Right.
my way.
Not so much animation.
Not so
Not
much.
since the accident.
Though I did work on the Spawn cartoon.
Oh yeah,
Oh, cool.
Well, you have a credit.
Cool.
That's great. Did you do boards for that?
No, I just cleaned up some backgrounds. I think they hired for me like a month and said, get the hell out.
Okay, well, cleaning up backgrounds is hard.
Yeah.
So I learned.
Yeah. So today's episode is going to be a really fun one. It's all about covers, right?
Woo-hoo!
So we have a lot of examples of all kinds of covers, but what I want to talk to you guys about, like, there's so many different kinds of covers with different kinds of goals. And I think that that's really interesting. Like, some of them come into vogue and some of them are silly, but it's always designed to try and get you to buy the comic, to try and stand out on the stands. And some of them, and the one that Shaun actually put up or started this whole conversation was this guy.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're
Yeah.
a young kid and you're a fan of The Flash, you can't pass that comic by. Is that Carmine Infantino?
Yeah,
It's
that's Carmine.
Infantino, and I forget who inked it. Is it Frank, or it's not the usual inker on the book?
I don't know.
But yeah, this was around the house when I was a kid. I don't remember it on the stands. I think my brothers had it, or I might have gotten it when I was real little.
Interesting.
But it's literally an arresting cover. It's like you have to find out what's going on this. It's not just my life depends on it, but the whole hand going in the foreground and telling you to stop, and the expression on the face is like, this is a really arresting image.
Well, yeah, I would describe this one as sort of one of the gimmick comics covers, like the ones that were sort of, they weren't, because like in my mind, I'm much more of the narrative comic cover guy, and then our friend Dave Johnson does incredible designy covers, right?
Mhm.
And this one I would say is sort of like a gimmick, almost like kitschy one. But these were super popular for a while.
Carmine
And
did a bunch
Carmine.
of these. Once he happened upon the idea, I think he thought it really worked. It did the whole thing. So when he could, I think he did it as much as he could.
Yeah, Carmine was great at these, even up to his last run on the Flash when he came back in the 80s. He could still knock these out, and he never seemed to sort of rest on his laurels for these, but he kept reinventing it and getting stronger and stronger with the covers as he went along. Flash had a lot of great covers.
Flash
Yeah.
did. Like, so Scott, didn't you say for a while there it was DC had all the covers had gorillas on them? Wasn't that a thing?
That was a thing that might have been either during Carmine's time or leading up to Carmine's time that they had realized that, like when in doubt, put a gorilla on the cover, because
Right.
boys would just love to buy covers of gorillas. All of their sales would, whichever book would have a gorilla on it, the sales would spike. I don't know how much. I don't know if it was 20%, 30 or whatever more, but it was almost a rule for a while. So yeah, they abused it. They did it too much as far as I know. So then after Carmine's time, or to the end of Carmine's time, somewhere in there, then it became a rule. It's like no gorillas on covers anymore. That's it. We're not like the Gorilla Comics Company.
Oh man,
But I think
that's funny.
it started before Carmine was publisher, because the legend was Julie Schwartz, the editor, had a huge like ledger book, and he would write down in it, the issue number, how many issues it sold, and what it was on the cover. And his two go-tos were a gorilla and yellow. Those were
Yellow,
the things
gorilla,
that
yellow.
that to him always spiked sales. So
That's
they
interesting.
push those.
My intro to Carmine, and I remember he's I definitely feel like he's a bit
Oh,
You all right? You all right, buddy?
somebody tell a story. Give him a second.
So Carmine. Well, let's do a quick while Steve catches his breath.
People didn't like Carmine, and I think that has
What?
affected his a legacy. Because if you look at his work in the '60s, some of those covers. Look at this. Look at this.
Right.
And that wasn't
cityscape
the
is
only
great.
time they tried the big head thing. I remember
Yeah.
that being in Green Lantern. I remember that happening in Flash. Remember that happening a lot. Yeah.
Superman, Red
So-
Kryptonite did it.
And this was like the
My-
gentle version of old DC where they wouldn't necessarily do body horror so much,
Right.
but something crazy going on with a body part that, you had big feet or you had that big head or whatever. And it was literally like part of the story. And I remember as a young kid, when I'd see those flashing Green Lanterns, you'd be like, yeah, how the hell is he going to run like that?
Well, there's another one, right? That's Kubert, right?
That's Kubert, yeah.
Yeah, it's Kubert. I do remember buying this off the stand as a little kid and seeing that cover and like, gosh, how's Flash going to get out of this one?
Right.
That's a shocking
Yeah,
one. That's almost horror.
Well, look at his face and look at Iris's face behind him.
Yep.
Right.
And then the concerned nurse just sort of coming out of the darkness, and the use of the darkness. I mean, he's obviously getting out of having to draw a specific background, but he's
Right.
using it really well for dramatic effect.
Yeah. Much
And
against what
that-
normal Flash covers would have been at the time. They would have never been black like that.
Right.
This leg's all kinds of fucked up too. Just in
Oh,
that
yeah.
drawing, like if the ankle, everything, he almost has like a monkey foot. Yeah, whoever posed for that may have already sustained a serious leg injury.
Exactly.
The person who posed for it was actually the same person that posed for all the gorilla covers, hence the
Yeah.
shape of the foot.
Well, so I don't know what things are like now so much because comics you see the whole cover on the stands in a way that you never used to. When you had the racks, you would really only see, unless the cover was in front, just the top third, right?
Right.
So
Right.
you really had to sell it. And like this is one of my favorite ones. Like this isn't a kitschy one, but this is just such an interesting design element.
Yeah, kind of Will Eisner inspired in
Yep.
terms of playing
Yep.
with
Mhm.
playing with the words in there graphically. Well, all I was going to say about I think my intro to Carmine when I was a kid, being a little bit younger than Shaun, but still being very old myself, is that was Dial H for Hero. I think that was my first intro to
yeah.
the Carmine, and I remember those covers being, and I just Googled them, like they're really very dynamic, like and still had some of the elements of these Flash ones, not quite as gimmicky, but there was a lot going on those Dial H for Hero covers,
Totally.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and then this is so I have a bunch of you guys loaded up some really cool ones. This is one of my favorites.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that one it's an incredible drawing, but like just having, if you saw that on the stands, you'd have to buy it. Like, what choice did you have?
Especially if you're a boxing fan or any of those things. But yeah.
Or Muhammad Ali fan, because everybody was.
And then all the people in the crowd, for the most part, are real people, and that was a big selling point. Was like try and find the real people in the crowd.
Totally. Yeah, that is 100% something that you would not miss on the stands. Here's another one that Shaun put up.
Yeah.
This is Jeffrey Jones, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is early Jeff Jones. He did two covers for this Wonder Woman, and this is I'm often pelted with rocks and garbage when I say this, but this was my favorite run of Wonder Woman, and this is the only time I've ever followed Wonder Woman, and I was a little kid. I mean,
Where's my garbage to pelt you with?
Yeah.
I got made fun of by my friends for buying girls comics, for buying Wonder Woman. But this is when she lost her powers and had to figure out how to survive just being a regular person. And I, even as a little kid, like 7, 8 years old, I found that fascinating. And these Jeff Jones covers, I remember seeing these and knowing, I didn't know the name, but I knew it was different. And I knew it was kind of like Edgar Rice Burroughs illustration, but
Right.
it's just beautiful Gothic and scary, and it's it's titillating without showing everything. I mean, it's still, you can still
Although
cast
they're
the
pretty
comic book
saucy.
authority. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did Jones do a
Speaking
bunch
of-
of those covers in that run?
I think he did 2.
Yeah.
Man, now
Sikowski-
we could almost do a whole
Sikowski did
show
most.
just on Carmine Infantino covers. Like now I've been Googling and I forgot, like there's that great Batman cover with Blockbuster where he's like
Oh, yeah.
smashing the
Coming out.
words.
And there's also the one where he's coming out of the window, which sort of presages Frank Miller, Daredevil getting banged out the window.
And I didn't
Totally.
realize, I thought I discovered Carmine Infantino with Dial H for Hero in the late 70s. I didn't realize that Dial H for Hero had existed as a concept first, and that he'd done it in the 60s, and then they brought it back.
Yep.
But I realized, I think weirdly, I started buying my own comics and reading comics in the late 70s, and so I was coming in at kind of the end of Carmine's career when he clearly must have been like just working a lot to stave off retirement. And so I think like
He was
Dial
the
H for
publisher
Hero,
then.
Nova, and Man Called
yeah.
Nova, and Spider Woman. Like, speaking of girl comics, like I think Carmine Infantino's strange proportions and use of darkness and different stuff like was weirdly really appropriate for Spider Woman, and that definitely led me to. And then I think Steve Lealoha maybe started inking Carmine before he ended up penciling the book, but then Steve ended up doing some really interesting, nice softening of Carmine's kind of edgy
Steve
stuff.
Lealoha was great.
Yeah.
You guys remember Coyote? What a great book that was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
So
this is almost a romance paperback cover.
Oh yeah, it definitely has. Once again, it certainly, with the light. Once again, we have the yellow, and it pulls you down into what's going on with Wonder Woman. That's the, like, if you got the reader to ask the question, oh, what's happening?
Yeah.
The chances that they'll buy the book go way up.
Yeah, and you were talking about when they were on the spinner racks or when they were on the stands, you'd only see the top third of it. But I was in a comic book shop. I vividly remember a couple of years ago, we were out for a walk, and there's a comic book shop I'd never been in, and we went in, and they had a whole wall, and everything's facing out,
Mhm.
and it's a pretty big thing, and nothing stood out. Everything, it felt just like a big brown blob there. None of the covers really screamed at me, or
Right.
or even even they weren't like this. They weren't like, gosh, I want to know what's going on there. They were some kind of weird sort of like illustratory cheap Dave Johnson knockoff stuff.
Well, Scott's got a cover right there.
Nice.
Is that a cover, Scott?
Well,
Just
this
the
is a back
inside
cover, but yeah.
Oh yeah, Blue Beetle. Your run on Blue Beetle was great. I thought you did some great covers. So another gimmick. Well, one of the covers that I thought really stood out on the stands was this guy.
Oh,
The
yeah.
cover, right? Like
Classic.
that was. I mean, even though that's not how a reflection would work, right? In the separate blade things, it's so graphically interesting, right? You went, ooh. It's just a great
Yep.
concept. It's just a great design, and people have used it so many times now.
Yeah.
But it definitely set the standard.
It
Yeah,
was a
that
great
one-
usage of just that graphic quality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's a classic.
Oh yeah.
Just having him just a black silhouette, and like that's one of the ones that I think it's such a great design and works as a narrative cover, right? Like that moment in the book. It's not. I don't know if it ever really happens in the book, but I think that defines the book in a way.
Yeah.
And plus, that stood out on the stands. When I saw that, I lost my mind.
Yes. Yeah.
If you could find it on the stands, that was a big thing around me, was that by the day that it was even coming around, it was already selling out everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I have a first print of that somewhere. It's dog-eared and beaten up, but I got that early.
Yeah.
And here's another one. This is sort of, that one's just stark in silhouette. And here's another great Batman cover, but it's the opposite of this, I think. Look how well drawn that is. And look how, that's such a close-up, and that's just so much detail.
Yep.
But there's another one where you're like, oh, I mean, I have to buy this.
Yeah. Bolland was born to draw Joker.
Yeah.
Well,
The composition of it too, because it's all pulling you over. It's left to right, and it's all pulling you to the center of the camera. And then the camera points to the Joker's eyes. It's almost like an arrow. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just gonna say, look, I mean, we could very easily do 5 hours just pulling up great comic book covers. But what I also wanted to do is, Jeff and Scott, you guys have both drawn, dozens, if not together, maybe hundreds of covers. So like, how do you approach, say, you've got your newest issue of Way of the Rat or Wonder Man or Flash. Like, how did you guys approach covers? And shoot, I wish we brought up some Way of the Rat ones, because Jeff, you did some thematic stuff on Way of the Rat where you had multiple covers that linked or different stuff. But like, how do you guys, when you get a cover assignment, how do you guys approach that?
Well, here's actually, this is a really great combination of covers that Scott did. Here's the layouts that he did, and I'll just show the whole thing.
Yeah.
So Scott, you want to tell us about these?
So yeah, this was actually my cover proposal idea that I sent off to DC. I forget who initially came up with the idea that we would link the covers. I think that was me, but the idea that this was the four-part story, of Blitz leading up to issue 200. I think I was the one who said, I want to try and do an internet-connected cover because I hadn't really done one yet, and I thought this was a great opportunity to do it. And this was one of those funny bits where, compared to some of the other ones I showed you, where I drew this rough and pieced the ideas of it together pretty much mostly on my own, knowing the general plot that was going to happen for all the issues. And there was almost no changes or anything in any of this stuff. So I have this rough for you, and then I sent you the final as well. It really didn't change.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you colored that too, right?
I did. Just about gave my computer at the time a hernia working on something that was, 5 whatever covers long. Because on the right-hand side, that's the front and back cover to issue 200.
Right. Well, here's
the one in the middle with, yeah.
Right. That's amazing. Yeah, that's a nice close-up one. But like just this, the level of, flow and control of color and leaving space, right, for all the stuff that has to go on a cover. I think that looks amazing.
And dare I
the
say,
toughness,
chutzpah.
Yeah,
exactly.
But it also had to work. Like, you had to look at the second one from the left where Wally's holding Linda and he's getting punches on him left and right. That arm that's still over his head, the zoom arm from the 197, still has to work on its own on top of all that. And I don't think the Flash logo obscured it all at that time. But yeah, that was the headache of working all those out, was to make sure it worked as a solo cover, it worked together, and if anything bled to the other covers, then that still worked out okay.
Right.
A little bit of a logistic nightmare, but then I did certain things to try and hold it together, like the lightning running across the bottom.
Totally. Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things about doing these sort of big covers is even a cover like, say, this one, right,
Yeah.
where it's just a single cover, you still have to do a bunch of layouts for it. Like, there's that layout with, like, it turned out it was Wolverine.
So originally, yeah. So the point of this, me putting those up, was that I had done the Wolverine one first for, I think, issue number 2. That's cover number 1 of Marvel Team Up. That was supposed to be one of the choices, I think, for issue number 2. They didn't pick that one, though I really liked that one. So then later, when we got to issue 7 or 6, and it was with X-23 in there, I decided to go ahead and change the cover and put her in there. And I think at the time, the editor was like, yeah, those are both good. Pick one. And I really wanted to do that one that I had tried to do before with all the webbing, which was a bit of a pain in the butt, but it worked cool.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks super, super cool. And then there's this one. So this is one of my all-time favorites of yours, but then look at the layout, right? So there's the layout.
So the layout, I only generally included the characters that were in the story that I knew of, that Robert Kirkman had written or told me were going to be in the book. Right. And after I handed in that rough, I think that was the only rough I handed in, because they just said, we'll probably do like a group shot or something like that. Right. But what I remember about it was that Casada had given us the one note saying like, yeah, that's cool. Fill it up. Put as many people as you can in there. Pick anybody you want.
Right.
Throw them in there. So
And then
then,
we get
yeah, there's
that.
like 20 more
And what was
people
this-
in there.
What was this the cover for?
Marvel Team
Marvel
Up number
Team
1.
Up.
Yeah.
So I
That was
got
a great book.
question. I got a question that,
Yeah.
that I've been thinking about for the past few days. Is Spider-Man fun to draw, or is he a total pain in the ass to draw?
Oh, Spider-Man's fun to draw.
Okay.
Yeah.
Always fun to draw. I mean, yeah, the people can crap about the webbing or something like that, but to me that's ridiculous because it's really just a trade out for other things. Number one, I think the webbing just makes him so perfectly iconic that it wouldn't matter what you're doing. Like, I don't mind Jack of Hearts. I don't mind Galactus if those things all work together to make them as an iconic drawing and a design or whatnot. And Spider-Man and his webbing it's totally iconic. No one else has anything like it that's any cool. So, and even in the basic idea of how much time you have to spend doing a drawing all those webbing makes you don't have to render every muscle. You don't have to, shade everything so much or go through all that crazy stuff. You could just cover the big muscles that you need to, and you just fill it with webbing. And the webbing is, to me, I did it more the way that John Romita did it, senior, in that the webbing was very much calculated to present only in the way that helped tell you the volume of the form that was going on. So the webbing would
Exactly, yeah.
change how it was drawn on the figure depending upon his angle to it.
Right.
Yeah, that's some of your covers, Scott. I mean, I'm glad Steve brought it up. Have been really amazing. Like this is one of my favorite Flash covers of yours. This guy,
It's awesome.
yeah, it's
That
just
was a
got-
recent variant, just a couple years old. I was really
Yeah.
happy with that one.
That one's really really cool. And then so did you? I'm assuming that the process is the same. A couple of thumbnails into the editor, and then they leave you alone.
Most of the time, yeah, I give them 2 or 3 choices depending on what's going on. I think actually that one was funny. Again, reusing stuff. One of the first variant covers I did around that time was it was a cover I think for an adaptation of the Flash movie at the time.
Oh, right on.
And I handed in a couple of versions for that one. They picked a different one, even though I liked this one the best. And then a couple of months later, they asked me if I wanted to do a variant cover for Flash on whatever number that was. And I said, yeah, can I do this other cover I wanted to do last time? And they said, sure.
That one's cool. That one's super cool.
Yeah. So never throw away ideas. You can always bring them back and hopefully, get to use them in some other thing or some other way.
Well, another one of your covers that I really, really liked, you did a whole series of Solomon Grundys, and they weren't joined up covers, but they were
No.
definitely thematic from Monday to Sunday. And I like this one. And as much as I love that one's on the graphic novel. Isn't that graphic novel super hard to find, by the way?
It is. And as best I know that generally if you're going to find it, it's not going to be the, I don't know, $17 or $20 was the cover price. It's going to be like 30, 40 or more.
Wow.
Is it just because they didn't print that many?
It's just been out of print too long. And, without tooting my horn too much, it's well received. I think everybody liked it, but it was a little bit of a sleeper hit around that time, which was just like my Flash stuff, was that we actually, I think, sold more of the trade paperbacks and collections later than we did of the monthly book.
Well, and then there's this one. It's in the series too. That's one of my favorites. Way to focus on the ring.
That was fun because they told me at the time I knew this was all kind of part of Blackest Night and everything going on. And that cover and then the end of that story, I talked to Jeff Johns about, what was going on. What did I need to do anything? Does he need Solomon Grundy in a certain space or somewhere? And he goes, well, it's totally up to you. But, if you want to make him a Black Lantern, that'd be great. And I said,
That's
of
cool.
course I'm going to make him a Black Lantern.
Yeah.
Why would I not?
Yeah, that's really cool. It's definitely it's definitely a great move. And once again, it goes to one of those, you see that cover, you're like, Solomon Grundy's a Black Lantern? What?
Yeah. It's
I have
tons of
some-
fun. That was a great book.
But yeah, I have some process stuff for a book I did called for my friend his name is Scott James, has a Kickstarter book. So I did that's the final one,
Ah,
right?
there we go.
So I did some layouts because it's like a Viking character, Icelander and Plasma. They're these two characters and they're fighting a giant and they're fighting they're just, it's a book that's got a lot of great action in it. And so I tried to do what I thought was a classic, and I felt super repetitive with these. And then, so I did that one, and I did this one, which is just another one fighting. And then I came up with that one. And then, Scott, you didn't think you would go for it.
That last one, no, I thought it was like, that's a really complex angle. I don't know if they'll go for that or whatever's going on. But that's where you always throw out ideas. And if some crazy idea comes to you,
Yeah.
Make that one of them. But try and always, the advice now is to always, if you give them 3 rough ideas or 4 or 5, whatever it is, try and make sure all of them you like at least on some level, because they may easily pick the one that you don't expect. And they did that for this one.
Yeah. Jones, weren't you talking about that a little bit? Like, if you want to make sure you give someone, when you were doing a character design, you want to make sure that you give someone enough designs to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've all figured this out one way or another with covers too, right? But yeah, I recently was working on something where I felt like I'd mentally I'd cracked it. I'm like, aha, this is what it should be. I'm totally positive that this is what it should be. And then I realized, I'm like, wait, you can't, when you have to get something approved and you're sending it to someone, they generally don't like to just only see one option, A, and then B, whether it's a writer or producer, whoever it is, like, if they have the ability to give you notes on something, even in the even in the very, very best cases of the greatest collaborators, there's always going to be some level of people wanting to justify their paycheck.
Right.
Like, it's only a truly remarkable person where you have some incredible amount of trust and them having trust in you, where they might feel comfortable enough to be like, that's perfect, or something. People are still going to maybe want you to move an eyebrow or something. So,
Right.
so I think I realized, I'm like, okay, just because I've had this eureka moment, you've got to do an option B and C. Just like, say, if you are like, oh, this is the exact cover I should do, I totally want to do this cover. It's like, okay, well, that's great, but you should put in an option B and C, even if you love A. But then, as I think, so this is all stuff I feel like we've learned. We've all done the thing where you pitch the design that you 100% think is the right design, or you pitch the cover that you 100% think is the right one. And if you only do one, then people might just reject it outright, be grumpy about it, or they might give you enough notes on it that it stops being the thing that you liked enough in the first place. So then you're like, okay, I got to give them some other options. But
Right.
then if you phone in option B and C, either character design wise or cover wise,
Right.
I think we have all found invariably that they will choose one of the ones that you don't like. And
Yeah.
so you can't game the system either. You can't go, okay, well, I'm going to give them a brilliant character design and or cover, and then I'll just turn in 2 other choices that suck. And obviously they'll have the good taste and logical reason to choose the brilliant one. So then you have to go down this strange rabbit hole where you have to do good versions for B and C, and be okay with if B and C get chosen.
Right.
Now, sometimes it actually, I guess the plus could be like, oh, you know what? I absolutely thought it was A, but it turns out B is brilliant here. So maybe it should be B. Or at the very least, you got to come up with alternate choices that you're going to feel okay about. I guess it's probably like with Shaun, you've probably dealt with this, like with casting or something. Like, say, if you're bringing in actors, because you've probably been on both sides, that both you've auditioned, you've been the decider, or you've been the person that is bringing in people to show to someone else that's the decider. Like, it's a delicate game of like, okay, well, we absolutely think it's this actor. Like, you can't bring in 2 complete crumb bums, because they could pick the crumb bum.
Yeah. I did once on Gene Fusion. I had complete control over the casting. Nobody above me to make any creative decisions, which was fun for a while. And I picked the best actors I could find, and they were all good.
Weird, I did not get a call, but anyway, go on.
You weren't in Montreal, which is where we recorded.
Fair enough.
But it wound up hurting the project because they weren't big star names, and all the distributors would say, you don't have anybody in here anyone's heard of. And I said, it's an animated movie. I just got good actors. And they're like, no, you still need names on it. So that was, I got to do what I wanted to do, and it wound up not being great for the picture.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because I guess the idea is like making, because there's definitely the making of the piece, right? The art, there's the making of it, and you want it to be the best. But then one of the things the cover really does, and having a name on a project really does, is help you sell the piece, and that's
right.
That's sadly as important as making the piece a lot of times. Because if you can't sell it,
yeah, you don't know more work. I wanted to ask
Yeah.
you guys, so like, how much of it, how often do you think about this is going to really stand out someplace, and how much is it just, I've got a really cool idea for an illustration we want to do here?
that's a great question. Well, so I did this for Rogue's Kingdom, and I think
That's great.
thanks. And I think it's a good piece. It tells the story. It's not actually a moment that happens in the book, but it's a moment that could happen in the world. It's definitely it's a design, and I'm really super proud of it. However, I have to admit that the piece that Dave did is a better piece for selling stuff. Right?
Why do you think so?
Well, because it grabs your attention, it focuses your eye, and it leads you to pick the book up in a way that I don't think this does. This is an interesting moment in time, but this is a graphic hook. And I think Dave is really, really good at that. And I think that he did an amazing job on this piece in particular, because I think this is the cover that everyone responds to in a way that they don't respond to my cover in the same way. My cover is
it's a lot more simple, and because of that graphicness. And some of my attitudes about covers have changed a lot over the years because of that same kind of thing, where I've seen that I've worked hard, or I've seen other people work really hard on all these great covers going on. And sure, there are times when all the detail and everything else, comes out, and that's what grabs the people's attention. But really, for all that extra work, you could draw a cover like that, or a Sin City cover, or half of those kind of covers that are actually a lot more simple in their focus and everything. And they have just as much power possibly in getting it done. As long as the message is still like spot on, then it's great. That's a great cover and everything. I do fuss with it a little bit in the idea that, she's the B or C character of the book. She's not the main character of the book, so it's a little bit misleading.
Well, agreed, but it's a cast of characters, and she is the most visually interesting. And I think that Dave made a great choice in the way he framed her and read it. He really hits it out of the park. And on the not the opposite of effectiveness, but the opposite approach is this one that Ryan Sook did, which is one of those great classic covers of it's a collage cover. It's
the movie montage book or whatever.
It's a movie poster cover. Yeah.
And he did such an amazing job, but it's just a 100% opposite approach. Right. So I do think, and this, once again, as much as I personally love this cover, I think that it's really, really great. It doesn't have the same emotional impact as Dave's cover, just because I think Dave's cover is more straightforward. So yeah, that's something you have to think about when you do covers. I did this cover not too long ago, I guess a few years now, but like it's still one of my all-time favorite covers, and I think people really liked it. And I tried to do much more of the the singular one thing, though I still went a little bit nuts with the tentacles and whatnot. Trying to learn something from Dave, but here's the black and white.
Yeah.
So color really helps. And I think that's one of the things that I'm learning now is that color is, if it's all yellow, I mean, he's right. Like it'll grab your attention.
Yeah.
Like this one that Scott did. Like this is one of Scott's covers that I really like. Where is it now? Hang on a second. It's a Patra cover. Is that it? Yes. Like it's real. I think that really pulls your eye and you're like, ooh, what's happening here?
Well, went very simply on the colors. There's really only like 3 or 4 colors on the entire cover.
Yeah.
And it was that same idea of just keep it simple, knock all this one out with there, and maybe a little bit of tonal change on it. But there's red, there's purple, there's pink, and white. That's pretty
Right.
much it.
And then like this is another one of my favorite Scott ones, right? So
That's really cool.
that's when you
It's
did the
cool.
sideways covers.
Yeah,
the
which
sideways
I
book.
really wanted to do as a artistic thing, but it was also what you were talking about, Sean, was like that was done purely also as an effect of like, hopefully it'll stick out on the stands just because it's
Right.
sideways and everything. Even though, and the comic book companies, the Dark Horse and stuff, were not a big fan because it was such a risk.
Yeah.
And how did it wind up doing?
Terrible.
Well, I'm sorry. You know, it kind of reminds me of the sort of Dell and Gold Key painted covers. It's that kind of a competition composition in some ways. Though I'm sure you would open this up, and you know the thing with Gold Keys is you'd buy like a Tarzan and go, this is going to be awesome. And you open it up like, this is not awesome. I think this. You know.
Right.
Well, that is the interesting thing now, right? We've evolved into this level where, like, you know, very rarely. I mean, I isn't it fair to say maybe that the interior artist doing the cover is very much the exception now, not the rule.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Steve.
So it's interesting. Like on the one hand, ostensibly it's all there to get people to buy the books, and I guess people just must buy a lot of books now with no thought or intention that they will be, you know, that, well, now there's all these variant covers too. So there, I guess there must be a pretty high degree of people just buying stuff for the covers, you know?
Oh yeah.
There have been. I also, by the way, think that a bunch of that stuff has been maybe for the sale of the book and everything. That's a cool one. But I also think that that has been one of those leftover sideways back attacks ever since Image Comics trying to derail the artists for the books. If you put a variant cover, or if you put 15 variant covers on a book and don't have the interior artist even do one cover, or do none of the covers, then it all becomes like, oh, well, then I like, say, Spider-Man in this case or whatever. It's not this guy's interpretation of Spider-Man. Look, there's 17 good versions of Spider-Man.
Well, I do think it plays into, once again, it's the selling of the book, right? That becomes more important than the book itself, or at least as important as the book itself. Because
And it should, but
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you can get a bunch of variant covers and people will hunt those covers because they're valuable, then they inadvertently buy copies of the book, which is the goal all along, right? You want to sell the book.
Right.
It is, although I think the variant covers and the one shots and the different cover artists and not going with the interior artists and all those things, I think that also actually interferes with long time sales. That's sales for this month and next month, but I think there was the reason to that magic of the Kirbys, Perez's, Burns, you know, Buscema's, whatever, all of these guys in the past who would have these lengths of run. You could wind up having a book that would sell for 3 years really well.
Yeah.
Or 5 years maybe, or something like that, and have good consistent sales build up all throughout that time, because you were selling a product that was done that way. Now if you turn it into, you know, this is the garlic pepper version of Spider-Man, this is the mozzarella cheese stick, I don't know, salsa version of Spider-Man, you'll get them for a minute, but that's not going to stay.
And it's also
there is something to be said for
from Spider-Man. You're not helping Spider-Man, you're pulling from all the rest of the line.
Yep.
Right. Well, I mean, I do think that there is, I mean, I love when an interior artist does the cover of the book, because you know exactly what you're getting from the book. I think that that's one of the things that I always loved when Byrne did his own covers and Perez did his own covers and Frank Miller did. I mean, I love that when the artist from the inside is doing their own cover, because I feel like it's a complete package. Right, you get the whole idea. Like if you see this cover, this is the one I did for issue 2. Right, that's you see that scene. That's also the inside of the book. Though Dan did the colors on that, Dan Pan Ocean, and they're amazing.
Yep,
and it's a slightly different vibe. but like that is a scene from inside the book by the people who drew the book. So I think that it's an honest selling point. Like it's not like a fantastic Adam Hughes cover where you then on the inside maybe not get great Adam, like someone who's not as
Right.
good as Adam Hughes.
Right. Well, DC used
Well,
to do that like in the 50s and the 60s. You had Kurt Swan doing all those covers and Wayne Boring Studio doing the interior, John Forte doing the interior artwork.
Right.
Yep.
Jones, I have a surprise cover for you that I wanted to show you.
Oh, boy.
This is one of my all-time favorite covers.
I've been waiting.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
Not what I was expecting.
I thought it was going to be a cover that I drew that I hated, but
No,
good.
no,
Yeah,
no,
I
I'm
love
not
that.
gonna
I
do it
love
to
that cover.
I love that cover, right? We love this cover as a kid.
And it's a great
It's a
comic.
gimmick. It's a gimmick cover, obviously, but it's a gimmick comic, and you get exactly what the cover promises on the inside.
You sure do.
Yeah, it's classic.
it's
one of my-
fun.
Exactly. It's a lot of fun.
Well
I
done.
like how
sir.
But you're right. And so,
I like.
I
how
don't
the
know,
monster looks
Spidey.
like
I don't know,
Alfred Hitchcock.
Spidey. What do you want to do?
Watermelon cantaloupe. Watermelon cantaloupe. Yeah, that's one of the ones. That's one of the things I think the covers should not only inspire you to buy the book and they should be interesting and great pieces of art, but like they should also be fun to have, right? Fun to share. Comics seem like they seem like there's not as much fun as they used to be.
Well, there used to
I
be
think in
something
independence and other stuff, they sometimes push that a little bit more.
Right.
And I think there's some stuff that with the variant covers, they've tried to do jokier ones, I think, at Marvel and at DC from time to time.
That's true.
But-
That's definitely true.
But the mainstream ones, yeah, no. Well, I mean, we got told while we were working on Blue Beetle and working on Larfleeze that, and I've heard this a bunch of different times, that, don't be so jokey about stuff. Because quite often they thought that was a sales killer.
Oh, being jokey? Yeah,
Interesting.
I guess.
I mean, literally to the idea of like whether your character is smiling on the cover or gritting his teeth on the cover, they had done the math and said gritting teeth sells a comic book
Right.
X amount of times more,
It's like it's
regardless
the
of
version
story,
of,
regardless of personality or anything else.
it's the new Gorillas gritting teeth.
I know.
Yeah, it's the Gorillas.
That is
Now
so
now
bizarre,
we just
but
have to unlock the new yellow.
It's the new yellow. So here's my last one to show you guys. And this is the one, this is what I love this one because it's got me, not this one. Hang on a second. Where is it? It's got me, Scott, and Steve are all part of this cover.
oh
Excellent.
boy.
Where is it? Hang on a second. Did I not put it in? I'll be very bummed out if it's not in here. Is this it?
And the
You'll
fans
be-
will never
you'll
know
be-
which one it was.
I know,
You'll be
right?
bummed out.
Oh, it's not in here. Oh, sorry. It's the cover of Jones with all the guns and Scott inked it Bloodshot.
Oh,
Yeah.
Scott. and
I thought it was going to be
participated
one
in
of
a
those
lot
two.
A lot of good classic Bloodshot covers.
Oh. Bummer.
We had
Oh,
fun
well.
with those, and that was another fun thing about doing those covers was that all three of us we were in the studio at the time, and
There it is.
whether
Hang
we
on.
helped pencil, ink, or there it is.
Yeah, that's
um,
Jones posing.
Yep.
Scott inking and me penciling. That
And
was
I-
actually
Definitely my
And I did
abs,
dab
for
the blood
sure.
on him, so he's got the blood dripping on him. I put that
Yeah.
on Jones for the picture.
so this was in '95, and that year in San Diego, this is one of the last years in San Diego that I really had a great time. I walked in.
Jones, weren't those guns heavy?
Yeah.
I mean, and as I remember, Scott, I think you just shot me in the shoulder. I think that was how you.
I like a truthful and honest cover. I don't like to fake
Yeah.
anything.
No.
So this is, I did this cover for Valiant way back in the day, and I went into San Diego that year, and they had done like it had to be a 20-foot like huge version of this cover that was hanging over the the Valiant area.
Yeah, the
Um,
wall booth. Yeah, cool.
I tell you what, there are a few things more like satisfying than seeing your art gigantic in the middle of San Diego. It's pretty cool.
If I can
Very cool.
momentarily buzzkill that, it's just only because it's just reminding me of Disney just had that horrible round of layoffs, and I seem to remember one of the artists mentioning that he was like laid off in the conference room that had his giant giant painting of his artwork in it, where it's like, well, that's pretty disconcerting.
As just a quick aside, and this is a very, I don't think this is controversial, but everyone who's argued with me about AI stealing artists' work can suck both my nuts. I told you we knew that was gonna happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yep.
Had many arguments with people about that.
Yeah.
I've had so many arguments about it, and if I were in the offices anymore, I'd still be, this is death knell. This is not going to work.
No.
You're gonna do this for a year, 2 years, and you're gonna wonder where all your money went.
And you're like, none of these shows are going to sell. None of these people, no one's going to watch these garbage things that are about to come out. Everyone's going to, it's because they're not, it's the, I don't want to get into it. Anyway, let's look at this.
That's an
Just remember, they're trying to take out the human tax.
Yeah. The human tax. That's exactly what they call it too. Look at that one. That's one of my favorites, Scott's.
So this was one of those that I mentioned the other week, was the idea that if you're not coming up with the right idea first, I don't think the other covers are my other roughs for that here. One and too, I tried to look for them. No, I can't find them. I drew 16 or 20 different covers in little thumbnail version for this cover because I couldn't figure out what the right image was going to be and how it was going to work and everything. And I literally drew like 16 of them. I had a whole grid of a page where I was like every wrong idea, get that out of my way. Every other like maybe idea, let's do it. Oh, yep, nope, that's a maybe idea. But I just went cover after cover after. I think I even showed all 16 of them or whatever to the editor of the time. And I think I went in knowing that by the time I'd finished those 16, that this was probably the lead contender. And thankfully, the editor did agree with me. But yeah, it was one of those. On this first issue, I drew a crap ton of roughs for the ideas. Then the consecutive issues inside, I think I had only done the 2 or 3, and this one was fun.
Yeah,
because they didn't have a lettering budget. So when I sent them this rough, they're like, "Yeah, okay, but you're gonna have to draw in that logo." And I went, "All right, fine."
Oh yeah, it looks so good. Yeah, you do a great thing. One of the things I love about that cover, can you see the cover again, Scott? The front cover. Yeah. One of the things I love about that is his graphic shape makes him look so sympathetic and so sad. And that's one of the things that I do think that your ability to draw believably and realistically is plussed so much by your ability to make even the ridiculous shaped creatures look believable and have that same level of emotion. That's one of the great things about the thing.
That's a mainstay thing when you're drawing any of the Marvel characters, I think, is a lot of them, because of Kirby and stuff, are designed in that way so that they're not very humanish. They're very almost abstract sometimes how they're drawn, but to bring that humanity to them totally makes the magic.
Yeah.
The texture on the rocks on Ben's skin work against the pose so that you see, and I mean that in a positive way, because you see him looking so sad and so forlorn, and yet he still looks so powerful. He looks physically powerful but emotionally broken. It's really, really smart stuff.
Yeah, and by the way, this little piece on there, if the camera would focus a little bit, that's bird poo.
Yeah. Oh, I thought that was never mind.
No, I thought it was bird poo. I thought it was just, this is the final indignity for him.
Yeah.
And I found out later from Jeff Johns, who knows all the Hollywood people, because Jeff wrote this, that when they made the first FF movie, and there's a scene when Ben Grimm is on one of the big bridges in New York City or whatever, and he's feeling alone and cast out and all those things going on, and a bird craps on his shoulder. And it's from this. They saw this and went, we have to do that.
Yeah. Weird. Comics. Pretty good.
You never know when the stuff is going to make it somewhere else or influence somebody, even if it had just influenced kids or whatever that saw it.
Right.
That's the thing you're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. So Shaun, like when you are writing a comic or even producing a film or working on, like, do you think about what the graphic image is going to be for the cover?
I used to, but it's been beaten out of me.
Oh, really?
Because the editor, it used to be, from what I understand, reading like shooters interviews and stuff like that, that if you wrote a comic, you had to start it with "this is the cover," and
Right.
describe a cover idea, and that was actually how Shooter, I think, broke in, was sending in cover ideas, or somebody did.
Oh, right on.
But doing Aquaman, had no choice, no idea who was, it was Kevin McGuire, so he was going to do whatever
Sure.
he was
I
going to
remember
do.
those.
Yep.
Right.
Never got asked for a cover on anything. Never got asked for an image for a script or a picture going into production. I had nothing to say about the Return of the Joker.
Really?
Which makes the painting nothing that which makes sense. But I had even less to say about Gene Fusion, which I had total creative control over. And one day of the DVD and a poster just shows up in my mail. Oh, they did it. Okay, thanks.
Is that
But
because the marketing department handles it?
Yeah. And things in movies, things have changed. The marketing department is really tends to be the people who green light things now. It used to be you made a movie and then gave it to marketing and they had to figure out how to market. Now
Right.
they know how to market something, so that's what you're going to make.
Right. Because they're pre-selling.
Yep.
Huh. Well, that's one of the reasons that Big Trouble in Little China just didn't do well. I don't think that they knew how to market that. Don't think
No.
they knew how to sell it.
Nope, they had no idea.
They
Yeah.
didn't know what it was. They couldn't understand it. What it was
Right.
parodying.
It was genius because it was genius. Pure,
But
pure genius.
Are you crazy? Is that your problem?
Is that your problem? Yeah. So good.
You see every interview with they're doing for the Apple show that Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell are doing together. They talk about people
monsters.
Yeah.
Monarch.
Yeah. Monarch.
Yeah.
Yeah. People keep coming up to Wyatt Russell and say, you should do like a younger version of Jack from Big Trouble in Little China, or you should do a younger version of Snake Plissken, like your dad did. And he said the thing is, my dad made me escape from New York when he was 25. I'm 40.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like I'm already the old guy.
Yeah.
Comparatively.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's a great one, Scott. Nice Pastaways cover.
This was fun. This one had a different graphic where Matt Kint, the writer for the series, had created that Pastaways logo.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just had him send it to me. So then I just started drawing circles on covers, whatnot, trying to figure out different ways to have the characters interact or run around it or do different things. Your friend has that If art sketchbooks.
Oh yeah, Tom Perkins.
What's his name?
Tom Perkins.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And he's got
artist.
he's got these graphics on his sketchbook and he leaves it blank or whatever so that he could draw around those circles. And he does such an amazing job with those graphics in there of like making cool things about them or around them, whatever. This is before I met him, but this was one of the ideas that I enjoyed where we had the whole cast of characters on there and then they're literally interacting with the logo. So I thought it was fun. And it was supposed to be a very strange sci-fi comic book. So I thought it fit.
Well, one of the things I think is really great about that particular cover is it's sort of a combination of a couple different kinds of covers. It's definitely a graphic design cover, but then it's also it's a narrative. It gives you a sense of what's inside the book cover. So you're able to combine those two, which I think is super, super hard.
Yeah.
Yep. And then for back covers, we did crazy stuff like this where he wanted a cutaway view of their headquarters.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
And actually, it didn't even fit on one comic. That was the lower end. That's the back of issue number 1. So that's the top
love
end
that stuff.
coming down from the water.
Yeah, you have to fit them together.
Yep.
Do you remember that great issue of Fantastic Four with Paste Pot Pete and he drew the building?
Yeah,
that was a great issue. I love that. That to me is classic comics. right? You have the cutaway, and even better is when you have the cutaway stuff and there's a floating head of one of the characters telling you what's going on. That's
Yep.
There used to be all those old cutaways of the Batcave, and then they realized that nobody had actually planned it out. So each cutaway of the Batcave was different than the one before it.
oh, totally.
And that's
course,
good. They're all valid.
They would never talk to each other.
Yeah.
Typical.
What's the Batcave really look like? It's not real.
It's not
Search
real.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I like that's a great
that's
one.
Cool. That's awesome.
That's got a very Frank Miller Ronin vibe to it.
Does it?
To me,
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah, it's the first thought
Yeah,
that comes
me
to my
too.
mind. Nice. That's
It
a
just
really,
came
really
out
good
as
one.
a cool, again, one of the other, I was throwing together 3, 4, 5 ideas each month. And this was one that, yeah, was very graphic idea because I then whited out the whole background and made
Oh,
it
yeah.
just this, really gross, broken up robot guy. And it's sort of part of the story, sort of, kind of. But it does tell the idea that things are not going well in the issue.
Well, it definitely grabs your attention.
Oh, one of the goofy things I did in this, and I don't know if this like legally messed me up or not, but you won't be able to see it so well down there. But my name is in the pieces from the robot, but the date of the signature of the issue is 1984.
Oh,
Or no,
is that when the
excuse
book-
me, 1985. Every one of the covers I did on here as a fun thing. That one says 2017. I did it in 2015.
'cause
I
they're
always
time
made up a year.
travelers.
Yeah, they're time travelers.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh.
That's
So the
that's great.
signature is
That's
always made
a
up a
great
different
little
time.
gimmick. That's awesome. That's really, really awesome.
It was a fun book.
Yeah, no, it's a great book. I mean, it's a cool story. It's a great time travel story, and there's a super cool characters.
Yeah. Scott, you are incredibly prolific and have an extremely impressive
Oh.
resume. It's pretty crazy. Strumming.
There's a nice little cover.
Yeah. So I decided to do all my so I did a bunch of, and I'm doing it for all the issues. I decided to make life really hard for myself for all the Rogues Kingdom sketch covers. Instead of just doing a sketch cover, right? Just a whatever quick sketch cover, I decided to make each drawing an original cover for that would be like, so that's just the one cover. That's it. And Scott's eventually for the next series is going to ink that and it'll be a variant cover. But yeah, all the Rogues Kingdom sketch covers could be their own covers. So I think I did in the end. I wound up doing like 25 extra covers for issue 1.
Jeez Louise.
And we'll do kind of the
nutbag.
same. Yeah, we'll do kind of the same for the rest of the series because I think it's just a really great way to make, to flesh out the world and also to practice doing covers.
And it makes it so easy on you.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Listen, I have so much time. I have tons of time. It's fine.
That boy is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. Oh yeah, that's great. I was going to put that one up, Scott. That's great. Thanks you beat me to it. That, by the way, that's a combination of a bunch of things. One, it's a really great design and it's a cool moment from the book, but also it's one of those like, what the hell's happening covers. And then it just has the way he's composed the title of the book with text. I love a cover that's got word balloons on it. For some reason, I just always love those. Yeah,
I was just working on a cover for somebody else recently, and they had no blurbs, nothing on it. It's all very clean and whatnot. And that still is generally the trend of people doing stuff out there. I totally prefer to have blurbs and crazy stuff and have fun things on a cover these days. But
yeah,
that is still not the trend.
No, but I do think that this cover you have. Hang on a second.
It's very Frank Thorne 70s Western comic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
But I love a cover with text and blurbs and the title as part of the composition. I think that's really captivating, and I think that helps sell a book.
When I was a kid and I saw that Flash with the title being a part of it, that was just like I had to have that. I had to see what was inside that because it just was so cool.
Totally.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that one's a great one. I still don't, this might be my favorite though from today. with the giant Flash head. Ah,
You can't
But-
help it. Gets your attention.
it can. Also, this, I mean, is this one of the greatest covers ever made?
Yes. Yes.
I would argue on that one. It's a great cover, but one of the
Right.
greatest ever. I think for me to really appreciate it, you'd have to be a Muhammad fan or a boxing fan or specifically a Superman fan. That was not one of my favorites when I was a kid.
Oh no?
I get it, and
So-
I realize
so
also as
there,
an artist
Jeff.
how incredible it is.
Right.
But no, it's not.
All right.
thought-
All right.
I thought the comic was a letdown, but I liked the cover a lot.
Oh, the cover's great, but not. I wouldn't list it as one of the the top 10 or top 20 of all time.
What about this
It's
one? though?
notable. That one's pretty good.
Steve took a shot for it, so
He did.
Really nice inking on that
I
cover.
took a blood shot. Mm.
Oh,
Mm.
well done. I think on
Bravo.
that note, I think on that note, we can end the show.
well, we've worn out our welcome once again. Tune in next week.
Well done, Dr. Jones.
Eh?
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back next week with a topic yet to be discussed, but we'll have one. And
We'll
I
have
thought
one.
it was.
Find something
I thought
ordering.
it was. I thought it was TBD.
Yes.
yes.
Is that a new disease?
I have that in stage 2.
A little penicillin will clear that right out.
Yeah, a lot. In my case, a lot.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take
That
care.
was great, guys.
Toodaloo.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.